Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining the Becoming Unshakable podcast. I'm joined by someone who I consider a friend, and she's just an amazing human, Susan Frew. Have her on here, gosh, for so many different reasons, which will become really, really obvious here soon. Not the least of which is that she's a top AI speaker now, but the entire evolution and growth that I've seen being her friend for the last few years, for sure, has been nothing short of incredible. And I think when I talk about becoming unshakable, she's a really good person to exemplify what that means. So, welcome, Susan.
Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So, in your words, what does being unshakable mean to you personally and professionally?
I think what that means is that you have learned, or your body has learned, that you can hurdle over things, that you can push through things. And once you realize that you have done it multiple times and you've gotten through, that you can continue to do it. And you need to remind yourself of that, right? Because so many times we'll have this big problem in front of us and we think like this is the end. But then if you would only remember all of the times you were able to push through that at other points in your life, then I think it gives you the fuel and the tools to keep going.
I love that. Yes. So, share a moment for those who are listening, like a moment in your leadership journey where you might have felt tested and then how you moved through it. Boy, and I already know a few of these because I can think about when you would call me or reach out to me, but something in your mind that it could go way before me. Something in your journey to just where you're at now that you felt tested and then how you moved through it.
Well, at a younger age, I became an international vice president of two countries in the Caribbean. So I was VPGM of country of Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines for AT&T Wireless. And it was charges of their full operations and launching all of the cell systems down there. And this was in 2005, 2006. I was down there on an island pretty much by myself. My husband was with me part-time. He would go back and forth. The mothership of AT&T Wireless is in Redmond, Washington, next to Microsoft. And, I was just down there alone in it with a different culture. I didn't really have friends down there. I had some, co-workers from AT&T Wireless, but that was all. And it was such a test of my leadership to learn so many things and to operate in a different culture. And I think that experience, although it was difficult, challenging, and exciting, it really prepared me for everything else that was going to come after that.
So that's interesting. So I'm wondering, even through that process, it sounds like you almost had to become a little self-reliant too. Like you had to depend on yourself for things, and you probably had to get creative on how do I get out of my own way or in my own mind, or how do I find friends or a different network, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, I think that's why I am very good at tech and why I love tech so much because I was started in New York City with them and moved to Denver, then there and back and the other, but you had to learn to be your own IT department basically because like what do? You can't call the IT guy from down the hall. Like it doesn't work. You just need to learn to be reliant and you're able to
Hmm.
just you have to figure things out and that's it. Like you just like, okay, this is what I have, what can we do, let's figure it out step by step and just keep going.
And you're also very good at like building relationships or like having friends or just having connections. And I bet you some of that time, I don't know if that started even earlier than that, but that probably definitely built on that, where it helped you learn again, how do I develop a circle? How do I create something from nothing because they're not around me right now?
Yeah, it was a great experience for me. And I still have one of my very best friends ever is from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And she was immensely helpful to me when I first moved down there. She helped me with the cultural immersion portion of my venue down there and how I dealt with the government and what protocols were. Because believe it or not, you think of the Caribbean as being really casual, but it's not because there were British colonies at one point, and everything is very formal. And I would have to go
Mm.
to meetings with a suit and hat and sometimes gloves, and it was very, very British and old school. And people don't realize that. In fact, AT&T Wireless gave me a huge budget for a wardrobe. Yeah. And maybe
Wow.
now, I wish someone would give me a budget for wardrobe, but me,
That
myself,
would be
and
nice.
I.
Exactly. Hey, you make it work though. You make it work. Which I absolutely love. So what think about maybe a mistake or a setback that shaped the way that you like lead and show up today?
Well, when I came back from there, I bought a business coaching franchise and I started coaching small businesses. And then through that, William and I started the plumbing and heating company and all of that. I, I used to have this theory, and I would say business is business. It doesn't matter what industry it is, like business runs the same. I don't believe that anymore. I believe that you need to have a core knowledge and a love of what you're doing, or else it's not really going to work. Now, I loved working with the small businesses and coaching them. That was great. And the plumbing company, I really was never where I was supposed to be. I was there because I was good with the technology and the strategy and the marketing. But with regard to running that type of organization, it just wasn't my right wheelhouse. I wasn't in my right place. And when you're not in your right place, it's always a struggle. Always. And
Mm-hmm.
when you follow your true path, that is when things and the magic starts happening. And to do that all over again, I would have listened to that little voice inside and to listen to myself of like what I love, what I'm
Mm.
passionate about. Because I never sat up here at my desk for 2 years studying plumbing. No, but I'll do that for tech. I'll sit here for
Exactly.
hours. I mean, it will be like well into the night. I am like, oh, look at this new product and look at this thing I have to try. I was never passionate like that. And I think that is what people miss. They miss that passion part of what they really
Mm.
love doing.
Mm. I love that so much, and it shows too. And I love one of the things I'm most impressed by you or about you is your ability to reinvent, or like something really massive that would throw someone else off kilter is like for you. You're like it's just all of a, like at first you're like, okay, I'm freaking out, and it's like a second later you're like, and here are five solutions to that, and and not most people can't do that, and so I love that way about you. So I am curious, how do you, what are the ways that you lead yourself on the really hard days? Like, what is in your self leadership toolkit?
Okay, well, I have experienced for most of my life undiagnosed ADHD, which I now call my superpower. So I was always getting in trouble, the kid in school, for always talking and not paying attention and not absorbing. And my IQ was super high, but I was never like performing. And so I really embraced that not not too many years ago. And I have and you know this about me, so this is really a crazy story. Now I'm just going to digress for a moment. I have had 10 concussions and 19 broken bones. And this is from all kinds of, daredevil stunts and you name it. But that's also a symptom, if you will, of ADHD. And so now
Mm.
that I've actually embraced it, it gives me the ability, because I've always been a quick thinker. But now that I know so much about it, I'm like, this is why I love the AI, because I can learn 22 things at the same time and it's fine. Oh, problem? Let's jump over it. Oh, something new? A new challenge. Yay, let's go. And I've always loved that change. And so this is my happy place. I love it. I love, love, love change. I love learning new things. And I'm just delighted with where I am right now.
And so basically for you, when the days get hard or you're in your self leadership toolkit, you're like, let me dive into more learning.
Yeah, it's just like, and also, remembering times that you've gone through and that you can go through it. But but I think that you need to just find that way that's yours, that's going
Mm.
to help you get through things, and
Hmm.
understanding what your superpower is, even though it may have looked like a disability at one point, maybe it's not.
So, who do you have anybody that was like early on in your life that shaped your style of leading, just like how you show up for people, how you showed up for people, whether it was, gosh, in AT&T, how you showed up for people in the plumbing company, how you show up for just your friends that are around you. Who is it that shaped that style of how you show up? And then like, what is it that you learned from them?
You know, I don't know. I think it might be here. I grew up in New Jersey, and I started my business career mainly in New York City and worked for AT&T Wireless there. And that was my really first exposure to big time corporate. I had worked for two payroll companies prior to that, and they were corporate-ish, but this was big time. And they had brought in this huge crew from IBM that, when McCall Cellular sold to AT&T Wireless, or then this big crew from IBM came in, and they were the ones who talked about structure and mindset and paradigm shifts and strategy. And like, I had never been exposed to any of that before, and it was right in my environment. I loved it. And
Mhm.
I think I went through, in 7 years, I had 11 promotions within
Wow.
AT&T Wireless, and then ended up as an international VP there. And that was really what, it taught me how to get through that, right? Like, okay, here's the next step. This is where we can go. This is what we need to learn. And I intentionally had to move from New York City to Denver so I could learn another part of the business, because I was in B2B
Mm.
in New York City. And then I went into training for a little while, which, hello, that's a good spot for me. And then when I came out to Denver, I did that so that I could round out and learn the dealer side and learn
Mm.
the non-direct. And that's a huge part of wanting to be a general manager. And then I got on the launch teams and I realized, oh, look at all this cool stuff. We can launch all these markets. And that's how I ended up getting the assignment in the Caribbean.
So it's interesting. So it's not as much a person that you model after, but it was like you being in a fruitful environment that gave you plethora of opportunity to
Mhm.
learn, to grow, to shift, to all the things, reinvent multiple times, get all the promotions. It was the environment that seemed to be the most impactful for you.
Yeah, and think about it. So in that environment, right? So I went from Denver, and then I went to, well, first I was New York City, and then I went to the New Jersey office for a while, then to Denver, then a regional job, but see, once again, it's a lot of movement and jumping around.
Mm,
And the big corporate environment gave me that opportunity.
yes, that makes sense.
That's
So you're
why
not going to get bored. So it actually feeds that need to be like
it,
new, new, new. So it's like you're at the same place, but you actually feel like you're having a new job every little bit, which allows you to learn again.
exactly, like if someone wanted to sign a 2-year coaching agreement with me, I would glaze over, be like, no, I'll come in to do a couple of trainings for you. It'll be awesome.
Oh my
I'll meet up
goodness.
with you once a quarter. We'll give you a tune up and we'll be fine. But I do not want to do it. That's why I'm basically unemployable by anyone else other than myself.
So how at all like with what's happening right now? I mean, obviously you're benefiting tremendously by the shift towards AI and all and the way you've taught yourself. Literally, just be clear, no one like was born with AI. They had to learn it just through like living it. They had to go to self-teach them, and you're one of the people in that whole self-teach camp where you literally have just like from scratch your way through, got certifications, did different. I mean, played, spent hours on all of it in all of that with the change and moving, how do you stay grounded when the things are feeling, I wouldn't say as much uncertain for you, but more just like chaotic, which is probably what's happening now? What are the things that you do to kind of make you feel grounded?
Well, I would never say that I'm like a woo-woo person, right? Like come from a very traditional
Hmm.
Catholic upbringing, and then I, you know, go to a non-denominational church, and I had to dip my toe into some woo-woo stuff, I guess, when I lived in New York City. But what I started doing, which I'd never done before, is I really started paying attention to mindset things, mindset shifts, conversations, self conversations, imposter syndrome, all those things that we
Mm.
do to sort of self sabotage ourselves. And I found this sleep hypnosis idea, I guess, because
Oh
now
yeah.
now that I've discovered it, there's really hundreds of them out there. And I bought this sleep mask because I was having trouble sleeping. I would be stressed, and the sleep mask is Bluetooth. So it goes over your eyes and it lays flat against your ears so you can sleep on your side or what have you. And I started doing every single night, and I've been doing this for almost 2 years now, the self hypnosis on clearing negative self image, getting rid of blocks, manifesting abundance, all of these things
Hmm.
like that. You would just like clear out any bad stuff that you're thinking about and bring in some really good positive things. And they run for like 3, 8, 10 hours, some of them, the whole night. There is this, and some of them will run with the sound, the hertz sounds that
Yeah.
will affect your brain waves. And since I started doing that, Heather, I am telling you, my life is completely different. And so I am now woo woo approved, apparently. But, I mean, even if we look in the Bible and going all the way back, mindset and what you say to yourself about yourself when you're by yourself are the things that can either trip you up or propel you forward. Look at the career Tony Robbins has.
Yes,
He's been teaching people this for a long time. And
totally.
and some of us, we'll get on board with it for a little while or whatever, but this has been a game changer.
Wow.
Transformation.
I remember you telling me about the company that you went with that was helping with that was like the traumatic stuff, the head injury stuff, and I can't remember
Yeah,
what
the
it's called now,
traumatic
but I
brain
remember you
injury.
going with that company. That's when I felt like you started down that
Yes.
road
I
with
yeah,
them and
I
you
did a
started seeing a huge
mindset.
difference.
Yeah, so it was like biofeedback I started doing.
Yes.
And then it sort of took me on this path, and I started looking at these sleep hypnosis. So I didn't even know there was sleep hypnosis, but
Yeah.
it does help you fall asleep. And then they talk positive things to you for 8 hours. Like, it has to be good. It
That's
can't hurt,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not hurting you. I think that's amazing. What you got to do, again, whatever you do to stay grounded is a thing you have to do for you.
Yeah, and I have
So,
one rule about it. Unless it has at least 1 million views, I don't listen to it.
okay.
Because I don't want to hear, I don't want some really horrible negative thing going in there. It's like somebody's trying
Uh,
it out or something.
so for somebody who's listening today who might feel like, okay, I'm barely holding it together, what would you want them to hear from you?
You know, uh, I've been barely holding it together multiple times, and our plumbing company was such a struggle towards the end, and thankfully we were able to sell it. And my husband getting sick and all of that. And I know you see those people on social media that they're like, oh, if you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. And really, if you're not in the right headspace, you'd like to slap them. And I was there. But I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. And I wish I figured this out younger. You have to find the thing that you love. And maybe it's something that you loved and you left it behind 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And now you need to be like, and that's what I did to myself 2.5 years ago. I said, when was I the happiest in my career? What was I doing that I loved and was so proud to be doing?
Mm. That's so important. You got to go deep. When we talk about unshakable leadership, self-leadership is a huge part of that, and it's all about evaluating who we are, what makes us tick, and that's so true. Like, what is your purpose? What's the thing that drives you is a huge part of that. So, for you, what's one thing you've unlearned on your journey to becoming unshakable? What's the thing that you had to unlearn?
What I unlearned is that I did not need to be everything to everyone. And I did not need to have like a massive friend base. I needed to have
Mm,
really important, supportive
mm,
relationships and not having so many because,
yeah.
you know, that's hurtful too.
Okay, we're gonna be sitting here crying it together. What's gonna go on here? Hey,
No,
hey, everybody! If
no.
you're on here, you know this is what we do on this show. I don't care what we do. This is what Heather does too. We cry here. We're human.
Yeah,
Hey, you may
you
teach
can't.
AI, but you're human.
That's exactly right, and that's never going out of style.
No, it's not. It's not going out of style.
Yeah, but
Thank you
I
for
think
that.
that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, you have to find the people who support you and that
Mhm.
you like and respect and that you trust
Yeah,
and move forth. Right?
yeah,
It's
you
hard
do. Thank
because
you for that.
yeah, sorry.
We can't waste any more time in this world being around people who you don't have those things or you don't feel those things around. So I think that's
Well,
a great thing to unlearn.
and no, here's something else too that I made a commitment to myself is that if I caught myself gossiping or if I was around people who gossiped a lot, I moved out of that area. Like I
Mm,
stopped.
mm,
And without any explanation or anything, I just started backing up. And
yeah.
that also has been a huge transformation. So if that's you, because if you are talking smack about someone else, then someone else is doing it to you.
Mm,
And that affects everything about you. You might not even realize it, but
yeah.
it does. It's getting in your way. So you
Mhm,
need to surround yourself with positive thinkers and people who are positive and talking about ideas and not
mm.
about others.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you know me. I don't take crap. I just don't. I
You
don't
don't
take crap, but I also don't give crap. So I'm just like,
know.
it's about taking care of business. It's about serving people. And when you're really clear about what you stand for and you embody it as many in many ways as possible, people know you for that thing and they expect to relate to you in that way. You know what I mean?
I learned that from you because you were ahead of me as president of National Speakers Association, and you just said no shenanigans, no gossip, no drama. That's the way it's going to be. And we'll
Yep.
have honest, upfront conversations. There'll be no side conversations. There'll be no backroom conversations. Not happening on my watch. And I
Nope.
learned that from you and used it.
It's important. I'm glad. You know what? If it's something I can pass along, is good because I feel I'm with you. Then there's all. It's almost like the hypnosis stuff. It's like the stuff starts to you start to do it, and it just percolates into your brain, and then all of a sudden, like you are the thing you're talking about, and it doesn't solve for any. It doesn't solve anything. And of course, some of this gossip thing, like for me, it is faith based, and we you don't do not gossip, and gossiping is like a sin. So I don't go there. But part of it is just like basic humanity. Have I ever gossiped? Yes. So I'm not trying to, I always say, like, I'm not trying to paint this picture of, like, this is perfect. Blah, blah, blah." The whole point is, like, if you're elevated in your head that that thing is not good, it doesn't serve you or others, why do it? Why spend your time there? So just make yourself stop doing it. That's the key there.
You have to catch yourself and be like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, shh.
I know. Stop it,
And
stop
then
it.
it becomes a habit, just like anything else. You catch yourself and you'll be like, boom.
Mm,
And my speaking manager, she is a very no gossip person too.
mm.
And she's the person during the week I spend the most amount of time talking to. So that I'm grateful for that. And that's the other thing. If that's a habit you're trying to break, you're trying to stop drinking, don't
Yes.
hang out with people who drink. You want to stop gossiping, don't hang out with people who gossip. Like that's just the way it is.
It was so interesting. Just saw on Instagram this guy. I would not even know how he got my feed, but he was funnier than heck. And it was like, so if you don't want to, like, I don't know, drink the thing, don't drink the thing. If you would, don't want to get, put on weight because you're doing this, don't do the thing. It was this most obvious, like, polar thing that he was presenting. But I'm like, hello, that's kind of how we are in life. It's like, we know that that over there is the thing that doesn't serve us well. But for some strange reason, we want to go in the direction of the thing that doesn't serve us well. Why do we do that? So stop it. It's very logical. Very, very logical. So for the last question I have for you, in your mind, when I say unshakable, what makes you, Susan Frew, unshakable?
I think it's confidence now that I'm doing what I love and
Mm,
that I'm doing it with integrity and with honor and with kindness and passion for what I do, and I'm helping people. Like
mm,
this time with AI is going to be so hard. There's going to be job loss. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty. There's going to be financial disproportion. There's going to be a lot of things that are not going to be positive. And if I can be the tour guide to help people to transition into what makes sense for them in this next season of our evolution that's going so, so fast. And if I can synthesize that for people, then I want to do it. And that,
mm.
you want to be able to serve. And I think that's it.
I love that about you. And so for those who are listening right now, well, number one, if your organization needs any help with AI and like how to actually bring it into the current times in a very practical, user-friendly way, Susan's your gal.
Yeah, and just think
But
I won't ask for a long-term commitment.
yeah, exactly. I'll come in, she'll come in, she'll take care of business, and then she'll be outie for the next thing. But that's the great thing. Susan's got such a big heart, such a great person, and at the same time has this very there's definitely a guiding light that guides you through the journey that's of craziness and the ups and downs. And yes, just like every other human on the planet, she and we both do a little freak out here and there, here and there, here and there, and at the same time pivoting quickly and going straight to just moving forward and focusing forward. So I appreciate you so much, Susan, and hopefully everybody who's listening has gotten a lot out of this conversation too. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks.
And thanks everybody for listening to the Becoming Unshakable podcast. Be well.